warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, today my name is Farid Zakwan Ali, and today I would like to explain on how to make Besi to be a great again. Okay, first of all, I would like to discuss on issue of this listing of Besi. Okay, first, what is the reason of the listing of Besi? First, Besi did not record any profit since 2008 until the current year. Besi have received PN17 status by Bursa Malaysia. PN70 is relating to the company that having a financial distress. So I have made some possible solution. Okay, first, Besi can be a privatization. In privatization, company is still exist and managing their business as usual. Company did not need to comply with any regulation. Company is immunity from political influence, and company can decrease tax reduction and decrease cost of listing expenses. Okay, despite of the advantage of being privatization, they have some disadvantage. Disadvantage is company can lead to the cannot raise fund from the public, loss of trust from the investor, and greater possibility for fraud. Next, my solution is to restructure the business. Restructure the business is on the certain areas that having problem. For Besi, business can restructure their organization since Charles and Alfred have closing relationship which can influence of conflict of interest. Besi also can restructure their financial areas which having a bad performance. Business also can hire a professional and an expert in this area together to solve the financial crisis. The restructure plan can be submitted to the Bursa for obtain approval for state listed company within the time set by the Bursa. Okay. Next, I will explain on the financial performance of Besi. As you can see, Besi have a continuous drop with negative value started from 2014 until 2060. The net profit of Besi also shown a downtrend graph. The Besi also have a drop value in revenue and incurred loss on operating profit. This indicates that the Besi having a problem on the financial performance. Okay, so today I would like to discuss on analyzing liquidity ratio. And in liquidity ratio, we prefer to use net working capital. Net working capital is the ability to run the business and to pay its current liability and operating expenses. Net working capital for Besi is shown negative value, which indicate that the company having a negative value of money to run the business throughout the year. This shows that the company did not have sufficient capital to run the business. So I have provide some possible solution, which is improve account receivable collection. This will encourage customer to pay on time by offering interesting incentive. This can increase the value of current asset and can improve the Besi working capital. Next, negotiate better pricing with the supplier. This is the way to reduce current liability value. This enables Besi to increase their working capital. Replace supplier which not willing to negotiate to reduce the price. In terms of maintaining the quality of our product, advisable to reduce cost within maintain the quality of the product. Okay, so next is we use current ratio. Current ratio is an ability to measure a company ability to pay short-term obligation within 1 year. The normal industry current ratio is over 1 ratio. So as we can see, the current ratio of Besi is lower than 1 is indicate that the company is not able to pay the obligation with its current asset. Okay, for the possible solution on the current ratio, I would like to suggest company to switch short-term debt into the long-term debt. This solution can reduce the current liability of the company and can increase the current ratio due to the longest time of period the company to pay the debt. Next is control overhead expenses. This also can help company to reduce the current liability, and also early invoice submission. Early invoice submission can help company to increase the current asset, which is a company can earn money from the invoice submission. So next is analyze solvency ratio. Are you using a debt ratio? Debt ratio is a solvency ratio that indicates the percentage of asset financed by creditor. In other words, this ratio shows how many assets the company must be sell in order to pay off its all liabilities. A debt ratio of 0.5 is considered less risky, but Besico have a higher debt, which is 1.6 and 1.3. This ratio indicates that Besico did not have enough asset to cover its liability. So I have provide some solution, which is avoid to taking more debt. If a company taking more debt, it could increase the total liability. Second, increase monthly payment for Besico debt. Increase monthly payment can decrease the total liability because we pay more on the monthly basis. Next is postpone larger purchase and focus to saving the money.
Hello everyone, and Najmi. I will present about the audit queries on behalf of CFO. So the issue is how did the Besico assess its going concern ability and what are the future plans. As stated in the case, the current liability of Besico has exceeded its current asset by 2.9 million, and the group also default on some borrowing obligation. The giancy plan had temporarily ceased its operation and majority of your employees were retrenched. All these incidents placed significant doubt over the going concern of Besico. How did Besico assess its going concern ability and what are the future plans? So Besico could increase sales and revenue by using marketing strategy such as using online platform to reach more customers so they can get the sales by either cash or receivable. Next, they should create more effective receivable collection as Besico need to increase the account receivable turnover so they can impose the penalty to debtors who are making late payment. Then for the future plan of Besico is to convince the foreigner investor to invest in them by obtaining a positive response from investor in China and helping to overcome the problem in fulfilling the obligation and continue the operation in Besico. Second is to modernize the plan so they can cut the production cost and improve company profit in long run by reducing defect item, improve more quality and speed up the production process. Next is deferred tax asset, which the group has recorded deferred tax asset of approximately 378 million despite the loss in recent year. How did Besico justify the appropriateness to continue to record such deferred tax asset in the balance sheet? Based on IAFS 12 or MAF671 112 income tax state that deferred tax asset is recognized deductible temporarily different to the extent that is profitable. That taxable profit will be available against the deductible temporary difference can be utilized. So to offset the deferred tax asset is when the entity has legal right and has the intention to settle down the net basis, and also they only can levy by the same taxing authority. So it is advisable for Besico to eliminate the deferred tax asset so that the taxable income can be reduced in the future. Okay, next is for the PPE reported at the cost basis caused by the evidence of impairment toward the group properties, plant and equipment, which unable to ascertain the appropriateness of its reported balance at cost basis as well as its revaluation reserve. As based on IAS 36 or MAFRS 116 indicate that an asset may be impaired, but Besico provide to auditor the evidence of impairment of group of PPE, but there is no impairment loss recorded in the income statement. As conclusion, Besico only use two types of method in measuring their group PPE. The fourth confusion is the inventory compromise spares, supplies and consumable of RM104 million which are recorded at the cost basis. So we are unable to ascertain the recoverability of such inventory and hence appropriateness to report them at cost basis. based on the IAS 2 or and MAF671 state that the inventories are to be measured at lower cost and net realizable value. So costs should include purchase cost, conversion cost, and other costs incurred in bringing the inventory to their present location and condition. Net realizable value is estimated selling price in the ordinary cost of business less the estimated cost of completion and the estimated cost necessary to make the sale. So we accept a data query and will make an adjustment on the inventory recorded. Lastly from me, is provision of onerous contract, which state that a contract is onerous when the unavoidable cost of meeting an obligation under the contract exceed the economic benefit expected to be received under it. The unavoidable cost reflect the lower of the cost to fulfill the contract and the cost of terminating it. Such a contract can represent a major financial burden for an organization. So there should be provision of onerous contract of Besi. DRI has ready supply of steel product according to offtake agreement, but there is no taken up by Giant Steel. So Besi DRI has the right to sell the steel product to any other purchaser at lower price, and Giant Steel has to compensate the Besi DRI to the difference in price. Then Giant Steel should recognize the net obligation associated with the accrued liability and offset the expense in financial statement. This should be done as soon as loss is anticipated. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Akil bin Karol Anwar. Today I will continue present on the issues of workers' protest retrenchment. Okay, first of all, I will state the issue from the case, which is to provide a retrenchment plan for retrenched staff that will benefit both the companies and staff. We as the consultant will provide the retrenchment plan for Besico in order for them to retrench their workers. Okay, we move on to the definition of the retrenchment. Retrenchment is a form of dismissal due to no fault of the employee. It is a process whereby the employee reduces its business needs in order to increase profit or limits its losses, which leads to reducing its employees. Okay, now we will discuss about why retrenchment are needed for Besico. The first reason is global steel industry are collapsing. The reason for this issue arises is because of steel global overcapacity, where there are excess of production of steel in China. The other issue is there are many lower priced steel products from China, and lastly, the selling price of the steel is below the market price. The second reason is the company performance are declining. As you can see in the slide provided, the revenue for Besico are declining every year. That is why Besico need to lower their cost of labor by retrench their workers in order to limit their losses. Next, we will carry on the presentation about the principle and guideline for employers that need to be done in order to exercise retrenchment for the workers. The principles are being set by Ministry of Human Resource. The first principle for the workers is criteria for selecting employees to be retrenched. The criteria to be looked are ability, experience, skill, age, family situation, length of service, and also status. There is also one principle that always being followed by others, which is LIFO principle. It's also called last in, first out. This means that the junior employee are mostly being selected than the employees that have served the company for a longer time. This is because the company can lower the cost of training and improve the condition of the company. The second principle is providing the employee with notice. The employee need to give notice of retrenchment to the employees. There are already reasonable length of notice created according to the employment contract, section 12, subsection 2 in the Employment Act, which is first, less than 2 years will be not than less than 4 weeks, 2 years or more but less than 5 years will be not less than 6 weeks, and lastly 5 years or more not less than 8 weeks. Move on to the third principle, which is reporting the retrenchment to the relevant authorities. The company must follow this principle, and if they fail to do that, they will be considered making an offence under Section 99A of the Employment Act and will be fined by 10,000 ringgit. According to the Employment of Retrenchment Notification 2004, the employers need to fill the Employment Notification Retrenchment Form. It's also called Borang PK, which consists different parts at different stages. The part is divided on to Part 1 to Part 4 must be submitted within 30 days before the retrenchment, and for Part 5, must be submitted within 14 days after date of retrenchment, and for Part 6, it must be submitted within 30 days after the date of retrenchment. The information that need to be provided in Borang PK is reasons for your retrenchment, the numbers of locals and foreign workers, the dates of retrenchment, and lastly, the benefit payable of the workers being retrenched. The last principle is retrenchment benefits. According to Employment, Termination and Layoff Benefit Regulation 19 and 90, an employee who falls with Employment Acts is entitled to receive termination benefit if employed under continuous contract of employment for at least 12 months before the retrenchment exercise. There are different amounts to be paid, which is first, less than 2 years, equal to 10-day wages for every years of employment. Second, 2 years or more but less than 5 years, equal to 15 days of wages for every year of employment. And the third one is 5 years or more, equal to 15 days of wages for every year of employment. The ministry also state that if the company do not come up with their own retrenchment benefit, they must provide a solid reason for the retrenchment decision. This is because if the company are failure to comply with the condition, the workers can make a complaint to the Industrial Relations Department. Employer also seek advice before make any retrenchment to make sure that all steps are followed carefully. Alright, there are two methods of retrenchment, which is partial and voluntary separation scheme. In partial retrenchment, the company only selected the potential one to remain in the company. And in order to ensure the company will continue operate in a good condition, maybe the company can only choose to retrench the inexperienced worker. The second method is VSS. Usually, the company will make an announcement for all the employees to inform them about the scheme. Then the company will talk about the term and condition for the scheme. These schemes are the best scheme to perform retrenchment, as the employee that left the company through this scheme are difficult to fight back in the court. I also have made some researches about a case of retrenchment, which is case Muhammad Zaki Yusof versus Telari M9 Berhad. In this case, the court conclude that the company failed to provide the evidence to show how the decisions are being made and the basis on which the employees was selected. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Mio and I will continue on a regularization plan. Regularization plan occurs when a company that fell under PN17 they must be proposed a regulation plan to either Security Commission or Bursa Securities to restructure and revive the company in order to maintain existing status. Okay, we're back to our case study on Besico. One day, Besico got news that the giant steel can be revived when the Chinese investor want to invest on them. The Chinese investor said that they will help the giant steel to modernize and improve the steel production, but the investor doubts the financial condition of Besico. So they asked Besico to give their calculation of their financial condition to consider whether they want to invest or not. Okay, Charles, the CEO of Besico, believes that the regularization plan is needed in order to convince the Chinese investor. Okay, first we will look into the steel division, which is the giant steel. We can get three issues can be raised from the case study. First is the ill-equipped and did not modernize its plant. The analyst said that there were too comfortable with the government protection, which is the quota and subsidies, which that made them did not care to modernize their plant. On the next issue is the quality of steel products. The quality of steel products was inconsistent and unable to fulfill the domestic market demand. One of the industrial buyers said that even though the Besico is one of the largest HRC and CRC suppliers in Malaysia, but the product quality is not good and keep fluctuating. And the last issue is they sell HRC product at a premium price above the global average price. Since the force of government to buy at least 50% of the HRC needed to buy it from the giant steel makes the giant steel they did not care about the competitive price. Okay, for the first issue about the ill product, Giant Steel can dispose the ill-equipped and acquire a new plants and machineries. They can either acquire by leasing the plant and machinery with the latest technology or bought a new one. When they have the investment from the Chinese investor, they can use the money to recover back their money from the investment. On the second issue, about the quality steel product. For this issue, Giant Steel can implement a SOP on quality control and establish R&D department. On the SOP quality control, Besico can hire a supervisor of quality control to ensure that the product produced are able to comply with the customers needed. On the R&D department sides, they can make a research on how to increase the quality of the product to be the best with the price. Lastly, the issue on the premium price of their product. Besico can apply Kaizen costing and doing a survey on the current market price of the product. Kaizen costing is a cost reduction strategy. It is done by continuously improving their quality by reducing the cost. It is an incremental increase, which means it will not big changes, but just a small changes that are able to make the production better. So Besico can reduce their cost by using this method. Besico also should look into the current market, how the price of the other companies on their product to make a better pricing strategy for their product. That's all.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Muhammad Naufal Ashraf bin Jaharani and I will continue the presentation about the business division of Besi Corporations Berhad. As Mia had already discussed about the business division of steel, and I will continue about the property and furniture. There are issues, impact, alternative and recommendations. For issues of property, the demand of residential segment of Malaysia property market has declined drastically, and the organisation can cover costs because of the lower sales. For furniture, since the organisation doesn't have the largest portion in the market share, they had difficulty to stay competitive. And the China steel furniture had monopoly the export market and affect the company profit. Okay, we move to the SWOT analysis. For property, the strength, the company project already at the completion phase, and the weakness, the company doesn't focus on household debt. Thus, they make a price that was not affordable for locals and foreigner. And for opportunities, the company should focus on new customer segmentation. For example, foreigner can also buy the properties. And the threat, the competitors provide a lower price of the property. Okay, SWOT for furniture, the strength, the company provide many attractive design for office equipment and so on. For weakness, the company doesn't have the appetite in pricing strategy. Thus, the cost was higher than the profit. For opportunities, the company should strengthening the export trading. And lastly, for the threat, there are difference in RM and USD. Okay, we move to the recommendations for property. First of all, foreigner can apply to buy the property. Foreigner that has stayed in Malaysia and consider settle down. The foreigner also had legal working permit or regular working visa for at least 5 years. And secondly, a minimum credit score. These features will attract many both local and foreigner to buy the property, since even the customer had debt that not settled or bankruptcy, they still can apply for the loan to buy the properties. And lastly, abolish down payment. Company's policy should not require the customer to pay at least 10% of the price. Costs like stamp duty costs, memorandum and other documents, customer can pay afterwards or during installment. Okay, we move to the recommendation for furniture. First of all, improve the marketing strategy. By improve the marketing, people should know the quality, the uniqueness of the product, and by the method can be used is to new online marketing such as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, advertising, mass media. This will ease the customer to choose the design that they want and can order it online. And secondly, company could apply blue ocean strategy since the market share has been monopoly by the competitor. This strategy emphasizes on creation of new value and innovation. This also will create new kind of buyers and new type of market share. Therefore, the company can increase the sales. And lastly, the company should change the standards of recording of profit and loss to foreign exchange. Since the company involved in transaction in foreign currency, they can apply FRS 1-to-1. If the company suffer a loss, they can record as exchange rate loss at the date of transactions. This will create a good profit and loss statement. That's all for me. Thank you.